Welcome to Worthington Home. I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk about why this album is the best vintage Christmas album of all time. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of background information.
I received this album as a Christmas present when I was 7 or 8 years old. Don't mind the cat's tail. And you can see that my name is written on it by the person who gave me the gift, and it certainly looks like my grandmother's handwriting. It has clips from the beloved Christmas special on the front, as well as on the back. The 1977 version is different from others because it includes actual dialogue from the animated movie. It also has a 12-page read-along book with full-color illustrations so the listener can read or follow along. I'm going to show you the pages as I tell you a little bit more. In this album, the music is very much in the background. In fact, the Vince Guaraldi trio isn't even listed on the front or back, and I'll count that as the one and only strike against this record. However, it doesn't change the fact that the music is sheer perfection, creating the ideal backdrop for the wintry scenes, dancing, carols, and other activities. A Charlie Brown Christmas was the jazz musician's 8th studio album. The soundtrack is second to none when it comes to vintage albums. I personally owned it as a record, audio cassette, and CD. I've downloaded it and streamed it. The only thing missing is an 8-track cassette. I've never had an 8-track. My father did, but that's a story for another day. The album was voted into the Grammy Hall of Fame and added to the National Recording Registry. It's also been listed on number 4 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of top 25 greatest Christmas albums. And my only argument with that is it should be number 1. A Charlie Brown Christmas was the first ever Peanuts special to appear on television. It was aired on CBS in early December 1965, and it had already been a successful comic strip created by Charles M. Schulz for at least 15 years. Its incredible success surprised the creators of the film. It was made with a small budget, featured child actors, didn't have a laugh track, which was really unusual for the time, and the soundtrack was considered an odd match for a children's show. It was so sophisticated. They also felt that the storyline was weak and that the pacing was slow. Anyway, viewers completely disagreed. It was an instant hit. Ultimately, it earned an Emmy and a Peabody Award. It was aired on broadcast television for 65 years. Although now it's available through Apple streaming, that's the only way that you can watch it. It's hard to explain to a child today what a big deal it was when a Charlie Brown Christmas special aired on TV when I was a kid. It was only on once a year. There were no repeats. You could only see it during the holiday season. And if you missed it, you missed it. I can remember racing home to watch it on time and sitting there with rapt attention through the whole thing. You couldn't record it and watch it later. There weren't VHS tapes or DVDs. Those weren't invented yet. And that's why having the record was such a big deal. It allowed you to listen to the dialogue. Looking at the storybook, you could see the characters, and it was truly the next best thing. The holiday special centers around Charlie Brown's nagging question: what is Christmas all about? Different characters have different unsatisfying answers, but ultimately, Linus provides the essential religious message. In the final scene, all of the Peanut characters come together to zhuzh up Charlie Brown's sadly sparse Christmas tree, surprising him and exclaiming, "Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!" The perfect ending. In my opinion, the 1977 version of A Charlie Brown Christmas is the perfect vintage Christmas album. And here are my reasons. It's connected to a beloved Christmas special that so many of us remember from our childhood in all the ways that I described before. It centers around characters from a beloved comic strip that was around for decades. I know as a child, I loved reading Charlie Brown. I had all kinds of Charlie Brown books, and I looked forward to the comics in the newspaper. And on Sunday, they were actually in color, and I remember loving those particularly, and sometimes even saving them so I could read a bunch at a time. It was just a great, great comic strip.
The music is varied and captures a range of moods and scenes. I love the way it sounds when the snow is falling and when the characters are having discussions and when the characters are dancing. And then of course there's some Christmas carols in there that are timeless and classic. And I think what's interesting about the music to me too is it manages to be light and bouncy in some ways, and yet there is this sort of melancholic undertone. It's complex. And the music stands alone. It's not just background noise. The album could just as easily be all about the music, and in fact, other versions are. It appeals to both children and adults. And that's really big. And I can speak from both perspectives because I can remember as a child loving that my parents actually wanted to watch a Charlie Brown Christmas special with me and all the Charlie Brown TV specials. They really enjoyed it. And as a child, I really enjoyed it. Later, as an adult myself, I appreciated my own child watching it. And I really liked that it was a cartoon that I didn't have to sort of sit through bored while I checked my phone. It was something that I could really watch with my full attention, and it was a special moment, and I'll always remember that. Of course, this 46-year-old album has been much loved, much played, and much abused. It's moved around many times as I've gone from apartment to apartment to house to house to house. It's been stored in musty basements, hot attics, and most recently we pulled it out of the barn where it had been stored. It's something of a Christmas miracle that I even own it still at all, but I'm certainly glad to have it now. As you can see, the album cover has faded and it's well worn around the edges. The read-along book has come loose from its binding, although the pages are still there. Despite its wear and tear, it's still perfect to me. After my husband kindly dug out my record from the barn for me, I was wondering, will it still play? Have I just pushed it over the limits? Vinyl albums are a little bit delicate. They can buckle and scratch and various things can happen to them. So I had to give it a try. I'm going to show you what happened.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown! Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
I really haven't seen this album out in the wild, so to speak, meaning at flea markets and tag sales and antique stores, my usual haunts, at least where I live in Connecticut. Maybe it's different for you, but you can easily get an original copy of the 1977 album on eBay. It tends to sell for around $30, although at the time of this recording, I saw several copies available for $40 and $45, maybe a Christmas markup. Amazon also had an original copy at the time of this recording, and it was $99, which is pretty steep. Of course, if you just want to listen to the Vince Guaraldi Trio's amazing music, you can very easily buy the soundtrack just about anywhere. Amazon, Walmart, Target, they all provide it for sale between $10 and $15. You can also stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, and if you have to listen to it right now, if I've inspired you to listen to that soundtrack, you can actually listen to it on YouTube while you watch a Yuletide fire or something similar. I love to do that. I do that all the time. Whichever version is your favorite and whatever way you decide to listen to it, there can be no doubt that this is the best ever vintage Christmas record. Do you think this album deserves the high praise I've been giving it? Do you have a favorite Christmas album from your childhood? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Until then.